Hi Thermo Foodies, I just thought I would put together a little video after my pancakes post yesterday. Some of you asked for some tips about how I managed to cook them looking so light and fluffy and looking good. Certainly there are a couple of little tips that I can show you to be able to make them perfect yourself at home. I've just made the mixture and I'm letting it sit for 20 minutes as per the recipe. The first time I made them, I didn't let the mixture rest, and it's actually really important. So don't skip that step. After you've made them, make a coffee and put the timer on, and they'll be ready in 20 minutes. Or you can actually make the mixture the day before and keep it in the fridge. The recipe calls for using whole almonds, so that's perfect. You can use whole almonds and mill them, but if you do have almond meal, you can use that as well. I actually have a lot of packets of almond meal from when we were testing the keto cakes recipes, and I don't have any whole almonds, so I'm using almond meal instead. The same quantity, 50 grams, so either or, so 50 grams almond meal or 50 grams whole almonds. If you're using almond meal, you can skip the milling step. You basically put in all the ingredients, 30 seconds speed 4, and then let the mixture rest. I do find that they come out a little bit light and fluffier when using almond meal, but almond meal is expensive and whole almonds work just as well. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I'll show you the tips on how I cook them in a minute, but if you're finding that you just can't get them right, the same recipe works in a waffle maker. So you can pop them in a waffle maker and they work fantastic every single time. And yeah, I'll let this rest and I'll show you how to cook them on the stovetop. So if you're using almond meal, you don't have to do the first step of milling the almonds, and you basically just put in all the ingredients, which I'm going to do now. So it's same amount of almond meal to almonds, so 50 grams no matter what you're using. I'm pretty sure it's 120 grams cream cheese, a teaspoon of vanilla. Not going to measure it exactly. Teaspoon of baking powder, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And a teaspoon of your sweetener. Somebody asked me yesterday if you can leave it out. Yes, you can, especially if you want to make savory pancakes. But if you don't use sweetener, you want to leave it out, that's fine. That's all the sweetener I've got left at the moment, so just enough. Pretty sure that's everything. Let me double check. Yep, and then it's 30 seconds speed 4. And then the first time I made these, I didn't read the whole recipe as usual in a rush, and I didn't let the mixture rest. So you really do need to let that mixture rest for 20 minutes as per the recipe. So set the timer, make yourself a cup of coffee and come back to it. Okay, I was wondering why my mixture looked a little thick. I forgot the eggs, so I'm putting them in now and I'm just going to remix them. I mean, I'm sure the recipe's pretty forgiving, so it won't matter too much. I'm just trying to get this done while my kids are playing quietly outside and not asking me for food for a change. So I'll remix them, wait 20 minutes, and I'll come back and show you how I cook them. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I cook these. I'm using my Solid Techniques pan, but you can use any pan that's non-stick. I add a little bit of butter, and I've heated the pan up and it's on about a medium heat. So the heat is really important. You don't want it too hot, low to medium. And the next tip I have is not to make them too big, just pipette size, and like the recipe says, about a minute on one side, but you'll often see it start to bubble a little bit like a traditional pancake, and then carefully flip it at about 30 seconds on the other side. Now, they're not as easy to flip as a traditional pancake, so that's why it's better not to make them too big and too thick, and to only do one or two at a time, depending on your pancake flipping skill levels. So they do take a little bit of care. You can, have a peek underneath, make sure it's not getting burnt. That's browning up nicely and bubbles are starting to form on the top a little bit. But yeah, temperature is really important. Too hot, they burn on the outside, and then they stay eggy and like wet in the middle. So low to medium, slow is the way to cook them, and not too big, and a little bit of butter. After cooking a few, sometimes the butter tends to burn, so I like to just have a paper towel handy. I wipe out the pan and I add another little fresh dollop of butter, but that's just me. You might not be as fussy as me. That's looking good. I'll just give it one more minute, a couple more seconds actually. Use a little knife to flip them, and that's rising up nice and fluffy and looking really good. So yeah, it might take a little bit of practice initially, but you just have to be a bit more careful than a traditional pancake. Make sure the pan is not too hot. Cook it low to medium, slowly, not too big and thick, like a thin-ish pikelet size. And that normally does the trick. If you can't get it right on the stovetop, you can always put the mixture in your waffle maker, and that same recipe makes amazing waffles. So that's looking like a pretty good pancake. Looks great. Then I just add a dollop of butter. Make sure it hasn't got too hot again. I've turned it down a touch, and I'll do another. Turn that down a little bit. The Solar Technics pans do conduct the heat really well and tend to get quite hot very quickly. So I'm always checking the temperature and making sure they're not burning underneath. Turn that down a little bit. That rise was beautiful. It's really nice and fluffy and risen up. I'm coming, Ollie. Won't be a sec. It's looking good underneath. Beautiful, fluffy, lovely pancake. The butter's starting to burn. Yeah, hang on, Ollie.
I should put on some clothes, so I'm putting on some clothes.
All right, pop them on. They're ready to go. Bit of butter.
I can't put them on.
All right, I'll help you in a moment. Just doing one more little pancake. Whoops, I probably put too much in there. What do you think, Holly? Too big? When they're too big, they're harder to flip. No, don't touch that. Just wait a sec. Here, I'll help you put your clothes on. Face this way, Silly. There, pop your legs in. It's best if you sit down to do it. Onesies can be tricky. That's it. Boy.
I'll put my arms in. Put the arms on. Mommy.
Yeah, pan's getting quite hot even though it's on the lowest setting. These Solid Techniques pans get nice and hot. And that's looking pretty good. Would you like a pancake, Ollie? And it rises up so nicely. A nice fluffy pancake. I'll open this one out. Yum. Really good. And cooked in the middle, not eggy and wet in there at all. So good. But yeah, 1 or 2 at a time normally works best. And just keeping an eye on that temperature. It's looking good. Another one. So even though, not everyone, but mine came out perfect, still great. The pancake stack. Okay, this one's looking good. All fluffy, bubbles. And rising up really nice. So I hope all those tips helped you. And if all else fails, make waffles instead of pancakes. It's still good. Thanks, guys. Alright, this one's my lucky last pancake, so it might come out a bit thicker than the others, but I'll show you what happens when you make a pancake too big, maybe. It might fail terribly. But I don't want to waste any mixture. Probably could have made 2 smaller ones, but I don't have the patience anymore. My pancake stack there's looking pretty good. Bit rustic. Starting to bubble. But I'll probably have a bit of trouble flipping this one because it's a bit too big. It's nice and thin though, so we'll see. Can you see all those bubbles? Hopefully it's not burning underneath. The Solid Techniques pan is getting pretty hot. Yep, it's time. Oh, made it. That's probably the biggest one I've ever made. It's come out quite good. The lucky last. Really good. And my kids now love these and can't tell the difference between, normal pancakes and these ones. They think these are great. So I think you could serve these to anybody and they wouldn't know the difference. Yum! Okay guys, hope that's helped. See ya!